Nebraska recruiting is officially back. And folks, we are just getting started. There's been a lot of big news that has dropped over the past couple hours. So in today's video, I'm going to go over all of it. Nebraska is now officially trending to land one of the best offensive tackle prospects in America. But he just moved back his commitment. I'm going to let you know what's been going on behind the scenes there, because there's been a lot, whether or not he's still going to commit to the Big Red and everything else you need to know about this growing situation. But not only that, Nebraska is now poised to land a 5-star defensive back any day now. Yes, you heard me correctly. This came out of nowhere. Crystal balls have been rolling in left and right. I'm going to let you know who this guy is, what's been going on in the situation, and so much more. What about Devin Jackson? When can we expect a commitment? What about Javion Cooper? There are a couple huge flip targets in Nebraska. They were previously out of it for. Now they're back in. The Huskers are trending to land them, and a couple other inside scoops that I want to share with you. So really quick, this video is absolutely loaded. Make sure you watch the entire thing because it is nuts. Hit that like button if you're fired up. And also, if you're a diehard Nebraska fan and you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Now is the time for recruiting updates just like this. For daily Husker content, it's a no-brainer. It takes 2 seconds. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, we have a lot to talk about. Husker recruiting is officially back. We're on the upward trajectory, of course, with a big-time commitment yesterday. We're about to land a 4-star offensive tackle, potentially a 5-star defensive back, and a couple other key players that we'll talk about as the video progresses. But really quickly, I want to put a bow on yesterday. Of course, Jalyn Scott announced his commitment, 4-star wide receiver coming out of Georgia all week long. I told you guys, watch out for Friday. It's coming on Friday, and look what happened. Jalyn Scott committed on Friday. So again, huge news there. Nebraska gets a game-changing wide receiver, go up and get jump balls, a physical blocker, can do everything that we're asking him to. This is a big-time flip. And honestly, the reason why we flipped Jalyn Scott, NIL played a huge role. Nebraska's NIL has officially woken up. We know that we outbid Ohio State for Danny Odom at the last second. We just outbid Arizona State for Jalyn Scott, and we're not done. Nebraska's NIL is really getting active. It's getting aggressive. They understand the importance there. So big time addition there with Jalyn Scott. I told you guys Friday. It happened on Friday. So let's get into the big news. All of the updates recently, what you can expect going forward. It's been announced that Kalama Puma has moved back his commitment date from Sunday to Monday, so 1 day back. He will be committing Monday at 5 p.m. Now, I told you guys 3 days ago that I believe that Kalama Puma was a silent commit. That was before all the crystal balls. That was before all the articles, the inside reports. And yesterday night, guess what happened? Sean Callahan, Steve Wiltfong, Brian Munson, Auburn insiders have all put in crystal balls, none other for Nebraska. Things are looking almost like a done deal for the Huskers. So again, we've been on a hot streak recently on the channel. I told you guys about Jamal Roll, that he was a silent commit. Of course, then he announced that. That was before all the crystal balls. I told you guys about Jalyn Scott committing on Friday. I told you guys about Kalama Puma here. So again, I'm not an insider. I want to make that very clear, but I get tips here and there from players, from people close to the situation. And again, we've been on a heater recently. So Kalama Puma, things are looking really good for his situation. Man, big time offensive tackle. I'll save my analysis for when he actually commits. But again, one of the reasons why Nebraska won this battle, or is about to win this battle, once again, NIL. Okay, they outbid Auburn. Auburn, they were very aggressive. They were trying to get Kalama Puma. He really liked Auburn when he visited there, but Nebraska said, you know what, this is our guy. We need him in this class. He's a game-changing offensive tackle with first-round aspirations, and they upped the NIL price, and that's really what won him out. So Nebraska's NIL, they're getting active. Expect this commitment Monday at 5 p.m. The reason why he moved it back, I just think he wanted a more formal announcement, so it really wasn't a big deal. But Nebraska will likely land him at Monday, unless something crazy happens last second. So watch out for that. Then, some more big-time news. 5-star safety Torrey Pittman has been crystal balled to Nebraska. And I want to give credit where credit is due to my man Greg Smith over there at Rivals. He does a phenomenal job. And he just crystal balled Torrey Pittman to Nebraska. Now, of course, we got an update about Torrey Pittman about a month ago that he's pretty much down to Nebraska, LSU. Those are the two schools that have been really involved for him. But again, this is a 2027 prospect coming out of Omaha. It felt like his recruiting process was still going to go on for a long time. He's still, a year and a half away from actually signing the dotted line. But Nebraska, they've been very aggressive behind the scenes there. They've been pushing for him to commit, to be a part of this recruiting class, to start peer recruiting for the Huskers. And a lot of times nowadays, with these programs, this is kind of a dirty secret, is that programs now will offer NIL bonuses if you commit sooner in the process. So they'll kind of pressure you, say, hey, we will offer you an extra $100,000, $50,000, whatever, to commit earlier. And I think probably that's what Nebraska's doing here, saying, hey, we need you in this class. You're a game-changing safety. You're a 5-star prospect. You're a number 1 player in Nebraska. You're arguably the fastest player to ever come out of this state. They need Torrey Pittman, and that's why all these crystal balls have been rolling in. So we'll see what happens here with Torrey Pittman. see something happen this week. I could see him still wait until next summer, take all of his official visits and still announce. But just now, right now, Nebraska is by far the leader in the clubhouse. He likes LSU, likes some of these other schools, but Nebraska in a really, really good spot. If they can land his commitment and have two great cornerstones of this 27 class, two perennial 5-stars in Torrey Pittman and of course, Trey Taylor, man, that's one way to get things started. And then you start winning football games. This 27 class, like I've told you guys in the past, is about to be generational. So Torrey Pittman, crystal ball to Nebraska. We'll see if it happens soon. I could see it. I could see it happen next week. But once again, it's still very much up in the air. It's still a long time until he actually signs a dotted line. But just know Nebraska right now, odds on favorite. So huge news for Torrey Pittman where, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, it looked like he might have went elsewhere. Might look, he kind of wants to go out of state, but looks like he wants to stay with the Big Red. Then a couple other things I want to share with you. Again, we know Larry Miles is still committing on Tuesday. There's not an official time yet. I'll let you know when that's going to be, but again, just Tuesday. And again, I told you guys for about 2 weeks now, just expect Nebraska here. Yep, crystal balls have been rolling in. So Larry Miles will be a Cornhusker. Now, he was doing a tournament, 7v7 tournament with Trey Taylor yesterday. In his first game, he scored 3 touchdowns. He was all over the field. So again, he's building a lot of connections with our, of course, 5-star quarterback in Trey Taylor, man. Larry Miles, one of the more productive wide receivers in America. So very excited about that. Then Devin Jackson. There's been a little bit of a shakeup here. Now, I told you guys a couple days ago, I expected commitment probably within the next 7 days. Now, he announced on his Instagram, I believe 2 days ago, that he was going to be announcing a commitment date. Now, that never happened. That graphic never happened. So I think there's still some things going on behind the scenes. We know that Miami's been aggressive here. He was in Miami the other day. Now, if you've been paying attention to recruiting, it's the dead period. So he can't be meeting with any Miami coaches, but he was in Miami. So I don't know what was going on there with that Devin Jackson situation. But again, this is a guy who Nebraska needs to land. I believe it's down in Nebraska, Miami. I've told you guys that for a while. I still imagine we're going to get his commitment within the next week. I expect next week. I don't know when, but I think he's going to come with his boy Danny Odom and, of course, Larry Miles. So still feeling really good about the Huskers here, but just watch out. Again, there's no commitment date. I don't have a scoop here, but still feel very good about Devin Jackson. Then a couple other flips that I want to give you status checks on because Nebraska, they looked like they were out of it for. But now it looks like they're back in it to potentially get them in the class. Now, Jordan Campbell, there was a great article the other day by Tim Verghese, who works at Rivals, who does a great job for Nebraska. And he was talking about some of these guys. Now, Jordan Campbell is somebody in Nebraska they were trying to flip for so long. He just announced about a month ago that he's completely shut down his recruitment. But there are already murmurs within his camp that he didn't make a good decision. He wants to still visit Nebraska in particular. So Jordan Campbell is somebody in Nebraska behind the scenes, even though he quote unquote shut down his recruitment. Nebraska's still been recruiting them up until this very day. So again, just because it's 100% over, it's not 100% over. We know how recruiting is. So I'd imagine Jordan Campbell ends up taking a visit to Nebraska, likely for that Michigan game. Again, he's still somebody who's on flip watch until he actually signs a dotted line, but that's a very good development for the Huskers because that's somebody they put a lot of time into. They need to get him on a visit somehow, but see if they can flip him last second. So Jordan Campbell, a lot of good developments there. Just watch out for that. And then Kamron Wilson as well. Same deal here where, quote unquote, he's 100% locked in with Syracuse, but behind the scenes, that's not actually the case. He's already planning a return visit to Nebraska this fall. So with both of those guys, it's going to come down to the fall. And I expect potentially them to visit together. The both guys coming out of Miami, they're very familiar with each other's games. They probably want to team up at the next level. So Kamron Wilson, once again, I've told you guys for a while now, I don't buy the fact that he's 100% committed to Syracuse. He will likely be visiting Nebraska back again in the fall, and I expect Nebraska by signing day, they're going to flip him along with potentially Jordan Campbell. So a lot of good news there. And then now Nebraska, let's just assume we are going to land Cloud Mapuma. That puts us up to 3. We're going to land one more offensive tackle, one more offensive lineman in this class. Javion Cooper is that one guy that I'm really looking out for, committed to Syracuse, big-time prospect. Now, he posted something on social media the other day. Of course, this was his video where they make personalized videos for all their official visitors. If you just look at the comment section, see a lot of Nebraska commits and recruits saying, hey, you know the move. You got Danny Odom here. I believe Devin Jackson was up here somewhere. Yeah, Devin Jackson, fire emoji. So, again, there are a lot of people trying to peer recruit this guy over to Lincoln. He had a very good time. It was his birthday while he visited. So, in my mind, there are only 3 offensive linemen really in the mix for us to get. Okay, but so, to get that 4th spot, it's either going to be him, Javion Cooper, it's going to be Leon Noyle, who's committing on July 7th, or it's going to be Kelvin Obot. And I think that Nebraska, they're always going to have a spot for Kelvin Obot. Now, I told you guys for a long time, I thought that Utah was the favorite. Oregon was the runner-up. Well, Oregon's been rolling with the crystal balls recently. It looks like Oregon's probably going to land Kelvin Obot because, again, their NIL is just absolutely crazy. So we'll see what happens with Kelvin Obot. Again, Nebraska will always have a spot for him because he's a borderline five-star offensive tackle. If you can wait till the fall, I still think we have a chance there, but if he commits now, don't like our odds. So, again, just a lot of good time Nebraska recruiting news. The only thing, really, at this point, where I'm still like, we need to figure this out is the D-line. We just do not have any good D-line news. We don't. I mean, again, the quarterback play, we're fine with there. The running backs, I think Jamal Rule is a hidden gem. I really like his game. Wide receivers, we're going to be fine there. Offensive line is going to be really good. Tight end, I think we got a 4-star in Luke Sorensen. Linebacker core is probably going to turn out good. DBs are going to turn out fine. It's just the D-line. If Nebraska can figure out the D-line, somehow get Valdon in this class, they need one more kind of random prospect. We're going to be having a very, very good cycle going into a game-changing 2027 cycle, which is going to be just absolutely massive for this program. So, watch out for all these announcements. Monday, Tuesday, and then Devin Jackson. I don't have a date, but I'd imagine he probably commits by the end of the week, and it's probably going to be to Nebraska. So, all right, guys, big-time update. Let me know your thoughts down below about everything. Hey, if you made this far in the video, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe as always, folks. Go back, go Metal, and I'll see you in the next one.